Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button and the share button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Sunday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily, exclusively here only on Big Mouth. So, Joker producer says Mr. Freeze origin movie could work if inspired by Batman, the animated series. Interesting. This is on comicbook.com. You should give it a read yourself, but we're going to read it here together for the first time. Michael E. Uslan. Now, Michael E. Uslan, basically, you'll always see him as a producer on anything Batman-centric. He's been a great, guy to make sure that the right projects get done, and he's been amazing, and he's got this to say. Michael E. Uslan, the shepherd of the Batman film franchise and executive producer of Joker, says filmmakers could do something amazing with the tragic origin story that followed Mr. Freeze in Batman, the animated series. Once a camping, cold-hearted comic book villain who wields a freeze gun, Heart of Ice revamps the rogue as a cryogenic scientist, Victor Fries, a sympathetic figure fueled by personal loss, placing his beloved wife Nora in stasis while he seeks a cure for her terminal illness. A lab accident exposes Fries to experimental chemicals that leave him unable to survive outside of a cryo suit designed to keep his body at freezing temperatures. One of the most amazing things about the Batman movies and the Batman-related movies is 3 times now they have redefined what a superhero or comic book movie could be. Uslan said during a Virtue Wizard World panel, Tim Burton did it in '89, Chris Nolan did it with the Dark Knight trilogy, and Todd Phillips did it with Joker. Completely redid what this could be and how you can approach a movie like this. It's incredible. And that's ultimately maybe Joker's greatest legacy. I agree with that. What Todd did and his genius can be applied to, I think, any other villain. He continued, if any villain was studied like that, there are some great possibilities. Asked which Bat villain is best suited for a Joker-style origin tale, Uslan pointed to Mr. Freeze, the character's reinvention in Heart of Ice, among the most acclaimed episodes of Batman the Animated Series, won Batman a Daytime Emmy Award for outstanding writing in an animated program. One of my favourite episodes of Batman the Animated Series, which I love, absolutely love, dealt with Mr. Freeze and the loss of his wife, Uslan said. The empathy, the emotions that created, I could see making a movie. The producer then stressed, there are presently no plans for a Mr. Freeze movie in the vein of Joker, but he would say that, wouldn't he? I'm putting on my fanboy hat, not my producing hat. This has nothing to do with any plans or this or that. I don't want that part on the internet, he said. It's just that as a fanboy, I can see taking the iteration of Mr. Freeze and doing something amazing with his backstory. But it doesn't matter if it's Scarecrow, Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin. They're so juicy, Uslan said. And part of their success has been their mystique. And where all the dots haven't been dotted and the T's haven't been crossed, it allows filmmakers to come in and take it to places it's never been taken before. Joker won actor Joaquin Phoenix his first Academy Award. Yeah, it's ridiculous that's the first time he's won an Academy Award. All about politics in Hollywood, right? Even worse now. Academy Award for the role of failed comedian turned criminal clown Arthur Fleck, and grossed $1.74 billion for Warner Brothers to become the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Take that, Deadpool. Highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. In November, Phillips confirmed he approached the studio with a villain-centric label that would produce down and dirty character studies for other DC Comics characters. And that's the article. So basically, how do I feel about this? I think he's right. I think the Mr. Freeze, Batman the Animated Series episode is something that is timeless. It will be amazing in live action. You would need someone like Phoenix to do it justice. This would be a serious thing. You know, imagine you know someone who's dying. You love this person and you do anything to keep them alive. But then you fail. And then what happens to Victor happens to Victor. And I can see this being an empathetic story, just like Joker movie was. You know, what's amazing about Joker movie, it really does put the attitudes towards male mental illness on trial. And this is why the SJWs and the alt-lefts didn't like it, because they don't think that male mental illness is a thing. You know how they keep on shouting out COVID deniers and wear a damn mask? That's what they're like about mental illness, right? So they're you know, slaughtering people who are suspicious of the narratives towards COVID, right? But they're happy to say male mental illness is a fallacy. It's not real. It's just an excuse for toxic males to have an excuse for their toxic behaviour. This is how the alt-left feel. And this is why I've said to you before that extreme politics, whether it's left or right, have become too loud, and the moderate politics, the good people who are moderates, are being drowned out. And this is what happened with the outrage of Joker movie. I think this would be absolutely fantastic. And I think Michael's right. You could do this with any Batman-centric villain, or any villain. It doesn't even have to be Batman. It can be a Superman villain. It could be anyone. I mean, I think a Metallo origin story. You know I'm obsessed with Metallo, because I had an idea for putting him in a Superman movie, right? And I think Metallo's great because he's a human being. Something so terrible happens to him, right? And he's pretty much he's got this, kryptonite heart, and it's terrible. And it takes away his humanity. So I think that's another a great standalone. I think Harley Quinn, and I'm not talking about Margot Robbie's one, but a Harley Quinn standalone story, again, puts mental illness on trial. And I mean, I'd love to see that, and maybe Phoenix to co-star in that as well. Now, the rumour is that Phoenix has signed a 2-picture deal to reprise his role as Arthur Fleck. I think there's lots of potential for it, and I would absolutely love it. I think, look, when something makes $1 billion, and let's not forget Todd Phillips came towards Hamada and said, I want this to be a label, I want this to be a franchise, a universe, an Elseworld, all of its own. And Walter said, well, calm down, let's make the first film and see how we get on. The first film was a success. Obviously, with what's going on with COVID right now, it's a bit difficult. But it's clear that they can still produce movies and make movies as long as they're COVID safe. And so, movies are being shot right as we speak. TV dramas and comedies and everything are being shot. And animated series and movies are being made as we speak as well. So we're back to a kind of new normal in terms of making stuff. It's showing it that's the real problem. And that's something that I think that the industry and movie theatre companies are going to have to come to terms with. I've had this conversation with you before. My brother actually came up with a really good idea. Why can't movie companies and these studios form a streaming service just for cinematic releases, so they can pay-per-view, so the theatre companies can make money and the movie studios can make money until this is over. It might never be over. This may be the new normal, but they have to do something, and I think that would be a good idea. But I'd be well down for a Mr. Freeze centric movie. I think it would be amazing, because I do like that story of Nora Freeze having this disease and him failing to save her, and him becoming Mr. Freeze. I think done properly, and if you take the campness that we saw in Batman and Robin with Arnie Schwarzenegger, not that I didn't laugh and enjoy that concept and performance of the character, I think something much better can be done. And I think I'd love Todd Phillips to direct it, or someone who has a handle on what this is. Now I want to shout out a really great fanboy. He's got his own channel. His name is Subjective Reviews. Now, the reason I want to talk about Subs is because I'm very sad. He used to be on Twitter. he hasn't been on Twitter anymore. Now, it seems to me, and I don't know, that Subs has been driven off Twitter. I know that you watch my videos sometimes, and that's why I want to discuss you. I'm very sad you're not on Twitter anymore. And if you have been driven away by other geeks and nerds through toxicity, I'm very, very sorry. I would love to see you back. Love to see you back over on Twitter. When you do a video, I watch it. Do sub to Subjective Reviews. He's got great opinions, but to see a fellow fanboy be driven off of Twitter isn't very nice. And, you know, at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, who are we becoming? It's like, you know, Trump allegedly having COVID and everyone, well, not everyone, but, you know, these Hollywood blue check marks saying they don't care what happens to him. He deserves it, blah, blah, horrible things like that. I'm no fan of Trump, but after all, you know, there are levels, and what's happening now is we're becoming like Trump. We're becoming so toxic and so horrible, and we're driving good people off these platforms. So as I say, I hope Subs does come back to Twitter, because I'm very, very sad that he was driven off. You know, nobody should be driven off these platforms, and they should be able to say whatever they want. Anyway, I want to know how you feel about the possibility of a Mr. Freeze origin story in this kind of Joker movie franchise. I think it would be awesome. But of course, I want to know what you think. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.